Seems legit.
Hello, my legitimates, and happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Today, because it's May the 4th, I have decided to do a Star Wars inspired Floozy bag. So this was from Inklings in the Kraken. It actually glows in the dark and it's amazing. And I've had this pattern for a while. I haven't made one in a video for a while. So it comes with a cool strap. I'll show you how to do this. And it's got lots and lots of pockets. We've got one on the back, we've got one here, we've got one here. This is also a slip pocket, as well as a pocket here. And then I just chose not to put any pockets on the inside, and I've got this really cute Star Wars fabric in there as well. So if you would like to see how to make this bag, please stay tuned. Alrighty guys, let's get started. I love this bag, and I don't know. May the 4th be with you, always makes me happy. So, I think from every year from now on May the 4th, we're going to make some kind of a Star Wars bag. We'll turn it into a tradition. And it shall be wonderful. And I'm about to run out of double-sided tape. Would you look at that? That's right. I have another one. So, if this ever happens to you, peel up just a little bit of here, right? Just a little bit, so that then we can overlap this one, like so. Oh, I don't need to cut this because this is the awesome rippable one. I'm no longer calling it tearable because it sounds like terrible, and it's not terrible, it's fantastic. It is super sticky and you can rip it off. So we're going to call it rippable. Alright, so we are just going to squish to the center and push down. This color blue is called Blue Sail. I do actually really like this blue. It's also a really good Harry Potter blue. Just if that's your thing. So I'm just going to squish it together and move along. And then I've just cut a 1-inch piece of this that's going to go over the top. Probably maybe should have cut it 3/4 of an inch to peek through the blue, but it won't matter. It's still fabulous. This is still not the last of this vinyl. No matter how hard I try to finish things off, I just have so much stuff. So I've made a couple of bags out of the piece I got from Inklings. 1/2 meter or 1 meter of stuff goes a really long way. That's why I sell my vinyl in 1/2 meters. You can get, depending on the bag, obviously, but like an average size bag, you can get 2 bags and a wallet out of 1/2 meter of vinyl. Again, that depends on how you're doing it. But even if you were to make the whole bag in all the same vinyl, you can still get 1 whole bag and a wallet out of 1/2 meter, which is pretty amazing, if you ask me. Oh, alright. So I'm going to take double-sided tape again, and I'm just going to put it right on top here. You might be wondering why I'm doing it this way, and the simple answer is because I've made it the full width, I need to make sure it's not going to shift and be dodgy, and the best way to do that is to stick it down. And so that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to tear that off. See, it tears. It's rippable. You guys are going to get me seriously sick of me saying rippable. And it'll probably turn into some kind of a magnet when I have time. Alright, so again, we're just going to peel a section off. And I'm also going to cut off this end, because nobody likes a dodgy end. And I'm just going to line it up. And stick it down. And then tear some more off. And then continue to stick it down. Oh, it's a total fluke that this happened, but I managed to get Yoda's face. I'll show you when I finish sticking it. So I didn't do this deliberately. I was just literally cutting a strip. But let me show you this because it looks pretty cool. So on repeat all across, it's got like Yoda staring at you. I like it. Okay, so now that that's stuck together, am I happy with that? Or do I want to turn it into 3/4 of an inch? So it looks really cool, and then from the back it's alright, but I'm not 100% happy. So, holding on to the double-sided tape, maybe not. I'm actually gonna cut this into a 3/4 inch strip, just so that there's a little bit of blue peeking out. The other way I could have done it is just to have a 1 inch strip here. So I'm gonna go cut it from the bottom here so that we can still see Yoda. So let me go trim that down because I've changed my mind clearly, and then we'll come back. Alright, so I've now chopped it down so it's 3/4 of an inch, but I've still got the Yoda face. And now we're gonna just stick it back on. I honestly think this will look better. I mean, sometimes I'm wrong. Like obviously the first time I did this, but this time I think I'll be just fine. So I'm just making sure it sits in the middle, and now I've got a little bit of blue poking out and it doesn't look like one side's bigger than the other. Stick, stick, stick. Like so. Alright, so I'm on all the way up to 4. I want a nice long stitch length, and I'm going to stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the coloured, like the Star Wars vinyl. Now the best way to do this, see how this is falling? What you need to do is sit it so it sits straight down. So usually that's between your legs because we're sitting directly with it. But what you'll find is then it won't get twisted, tangled, and annoy you. We're going to get to the end of the blue. So my Star Wars vinyl is a little bit longer. We'll cut that off in a minute. Jump to the other side. Go again. So again, I'm going to lay this so it sits neatly. And it just makes for quicker sewing. Oh. Alright. So now we can come to the other end. And it didn't twist. So the two vinyls together also didn't twist. Some thinner vinyls, when you sew in the opposite direction, like back down the other side, you'll get like a bit of a twist. This one you do not, which is lovely. Alright, there's no twist at all. So, I actually just went and got one of my kits because I wanted to, and I'm trying to decide whether I keep them around or if you guys can just buy the stuff as you see fit. I don't quite know what I'm going to do yet. We will see. But the main reason we're here is I need a strap adjuster. So we're going to go up and down. Now these have a slight curve for anyone that doesn't know. So you want the curve to be outwards. So we're going to go this way. Like that. And I'm going to use rivets instead of stitching just because I can and because I have hundreds of them. Okay. Probably not hundreds, that was probably an over-exaggeration, but there are a lot in there. So I'm just going to hold them. Now, because I don't need both ends symmetrical, these aren't handles that need to be the same length. So I don't need to worry about that. All I need to worry about is making sure the hole went all the way through. And you don't want it too close to the end. If you put the rivet right here, over time, and depending on how much weight people put in their bags, it will actually tear and no longer be a functional rivet. So just a thought. Alright, the rest of that, oh no, we've got swivel clips. So we can make the whole strap now. So I'm going to go up and over here, making sure that it's sitting even all the way along like this. Then we're going to go up one side, down the other. Grab this, pop it on and fold it over. And then again with these, we're just going to line it up. Now if you can't line it up, grab your rivet placement templates. I use them all the time for handles because I do find it the easiest way. These don't need to be symmetrical, so I don't necessarily bother on crossbody straps unless it's also got a handle and I want it the even amount up from the edge. So that's always a thing too. But the strap is now done. I've got no twists. I'm going to bring it all the way down to the end just because it makes it shorter and cuter to photograph. Like that. Right, let's move on to the actual bag. There are a lot of zippers, as you saw at the start of this. Love a good zipper. We're going to need these. We're going to need, not them, these. This is our back, so I'm going to put one zipper on here. We're going to need all of it, really. But let's start with this. So I'm going to take some double-sided tape. I'm going to use 1/4 inch because these are little and adorable. And I'm just going to put a stripe all the way down the center like this. And then I'm going to back the flat parts up to each other and go all the way across like this. And then trim it because this is not my rippable stuff. And then chop them in half like that. I then have a scrap piece. So I only ever cut out 2 of these. It is so much easier to do it this way, I promise. But if you want to, you can cut out 4 and then line everything up. Personally, not my jam. By doing this, I can then trim them to be exactly the same and you'll have no dramas. If something slips, it actually won't matter because you won't be able to tell. So while I'm still on my top stitching length, I am going to slowly stitch around the end like so, and back stitch, flip it around. I'm just going to jump to the other one. Now these aren't a necessary thing, but I do think they're really cute and that's why I do them. I'm not the boss of you though, so you don't have to do them. Alright, so this is what it looks. That's not what it looks like. This is what it looks like. Grab yourself some vinyl cutting scissors. If you've got different scissors, obviously we're cutting vinyl, so use vinyl. So you can do these out of vinyl, cork, leather, anything that doesn't fray. Otherwise they're no good to you. You can even edge coat them if you want to. I have these at the start of the pattern so that you can edge coat them. Pop that in the bin. I've got a turquoise. Now even though these are blue and this is turquoise, this will look cool because of the colours in our design. So I'm going to grab this little tool. It's an edge coating tool. So the end of this twists and moves in and out. So we just dip it in to our paint. This is actually quite a dark turquoise now that I'm looking at it. And I'm just going to roll it onto the edge. Normally I would put glue down first, but these are so small and I really just don't want to see the white part. I could have also gone with a dark blue on these edges. I mean, it's your choice, but that doesn't look bad. You can do it however you like. Now, if you don't have one of these tools, that's okay. You can also use like a cotton tip that you use to clean out your ears. Apparently, you're not actually meant to put them in your ears. I don't know if anybody knows that. All right. All painted. I'm going to grab a clip it here, and then see if I can make it stand up to dry. Because it's little, it should just stand up kind of like a soldier. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Maybe if I actually get it in the middle, it might. Ah! I know you can't see that, but it's standing up to dry. Because these will take a minute to dry. Not as bad here as when I lived down south, because it is much warmer here, but still. I do love a good edge coat. And this is such a tiny amount. If this was a whole strap, I would have put glue down first. But it's tiny. It's a tiny accent. You probably wouldn't notice. You don't even see all of this because half of this is going into the seam allowance. So like this whole back end you don't even see. And that's why I'm not worried. But I'm still painting it. It's important to still paint it, right? But look at that edge. I don't know if you can see. It is a different color, but it's not so bad. So again, I'm going to put that in the middle like that, and then off to the side, I'm just going to stand it up like this. That's where we're going with that. Put the lid back on. Always make sure you shake these before you use them too. Okay, pop that aside, let those dry, and let's move on to the next bit. These are zipper tabs. We're going to need zipper tape. I am thinking, do I want to just go white with the silver, or do I have white with silver teeth? That would be even cooler. Let's do that. So as the back piece, we are going to need to find the top and the bottom center, so we may as well get that over with now. Alright, and then these are just Tory pockets. I do love a good Tory pocket. I do a lot of them for the same reason that, you know, I do anything, because I want to. And the more you do, the easier they become. So my pockets, I don't interface. Just if you're new to my channel and you don't know these things, I don't need that much interfacing. And the more interfacing you add, the heavier the bag becomes. Nobody wants to buy a little bag that's crazy heavy. You just don't. So I'm going to line up the center point and the center point down the bottom here. And then I'm going to go back to joining length of 2.5, which is my favorite joining length. You obviously can do whatever you want. If you're on like a domestic machine, 2.5 is like the standard when you turn it on. If you've got like an electronic digital standard sewing machine, it'll either be 2.4, 2.5 or 2.6 as your like starting stitch length. That's your joining stitch length. Just go with that. Right? We're going to jump to the other side. Like so. Trim off all the tails, and this little jump stitch that we jumped from one end to the other, you do want to cut that off. It does tend to get a bit pesky. And then I'm going to take some scissors. I'm going to bend this over the table like so, and you do kind of want to make sure that this edge is lined up. So when you snip like this, your line won't be crooked. So I know it's not perfectly straight, but it's pretty close. And then we're going to put our scissors in and triangle out those corners or the ends, corners, ends, whichever way you want to look at that. Then the other side. I've actually missed making this bag. So for those of you that don't know, I am going to start markets. I think for the most part, I'm just going to want to make my own patterns because I do have a lot of new patterns in my brain and some that have even started that you don't know about as of this video. So I would like to mainly have mine and then all the one-off bags from the videos that I do for you guys. A lot of them don't even make it a full day once the video's up because some of you just love the bag and have to have it, and that's wonderful. But the rest of them will go on my website as always and then have them at the markets as like one-offs. Now I've just put some double-sided tape, like 1mm, which I don't know that in 1/64 inch, I don't know. Really, really close to there. And then we're going to peel off the backing and we're going to pull this down. Now, if you wanted to, especially on this back one, you could 100% put a zipper overlay. 100%, that would look awesome. However, if you're going to do that, I'd move the pocket down a little bit because once the overlay comes to here and we do our seam allowance, it's going to look a bit out of place. So I would probably move that down maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch down to kind of here and then put it on. But each to their own. If you've got the zipper overlays, you may as well use them. They do make things look adorable. I do like this vinyl as well because it is quite pliable. Now, you can see these corners don't look good yet. What I need to do is kind of grab them and just maneuver them. So you kind of just, you're Tory squishing them, but in a flat way. And I know that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but you just grab them and kind of twist it back and forth, and then it comes out and it behaves itself. Beautiful. You could also just make that a slip pocket. If you just stitch around there with no zipper, you could have that as like an open slip pocket if you wanted to. I personally am not going to do that, but I am just letting you know it is an option, especially on the inside of the bag. You could just have a, oh, not those scissors, zipper cutting scissors, people, where possible. Sometimes I have to use the other scissors because my stuff's not here, but I do try. And we are definitely doing the tassel. I love tassels. I have not cut it out because I'm just trying to decide if I want to do an all blue tassel or if I want to do half blue and half the vinyl. So we're going to do that at the end. Okay. Zipper on about 1/3 of the way and then lay it down so it's going to close to the left. Flip this over, stick it on top, and then we'll stitch around. Now, if you're new to zippers and every time you do this you get like a weird buckle, I do have a solution, so let's talk about that. The solution is the 1/8 inch zipper tape, or sticky tape, double-sided tape, that I have. So to solve that problem, you're just going to take this and put it on the very outer edge of your zipper. You do want to push it down, you want to make sure it's sticking on there well, like that. And then we're going to do the other side, and this will literally stick it in place so that it can't move. I will only do this to one to show you guys, purely just because I've had so much practice with these. But if you are new to bag making and your zippers are just not your friend, this is how you fix them. Right? So you need the 1/8 inch though. It needs to be skinny or you'll see it in the seam allowance, and we don't want that. So let's peel off the backing. Okay. So again, I'm going to leave it there and flip this down and then just stick it on top. Sorry about That everyone, it's actually been hours since this last second. I had to take my husband's shoes, like army boots, to him because he forgot them. And then I got hungry. And then I've come up with more ideas, responded to some emails. It's been a hectic moment. Anyway, back to this. So, this is now stuck down. So you can pick this up because we've stuck everything together with the double-sided tape. I'm going to come in front of the zipper and I'm going to, on a long stitch length, because it'll look prettier, go around. I'm so excited about this bag, actually. I assume I'll tell you at the start as well, but this vinyl glows in the dark, so it's going to be like the coolest glow in the dark bag. Swivel over the end. Now don't stitch over the end of your zip if you're using metal. Mine just looks metal, it's actually nylon, so I can stitch over it just fine. Alright, so now it's stuck on. If you hold the main panel, this theoretically will just fall straight over the top like this. So we need to leave one zipper pocket open. I'm going to leave this one open because it's the first one I'm doing, and then if I was to forget, I could always do the next one. But since I'm telling you, we always have to leave one open, and it's always good to try and do the open part first. And I just ran out of bobbin thread. Of course I did. Right, bobbin has been refreshed, so I'm just going to stitch down that side all the way to the end, and then back stitch. Now, if you want to, I know some people like to iron that folded over edge. You can totally do that. I don't. Requires more ironing. I don't love ironing to begin with. Alright, let's stitch up the other sides. I always like to go top to bottom and then bottom to top, and that's mainly so that the main bulk is out of the sewing machine. But you can do it either way. You can do top to bottom both sides if you like. Okay, so that is our back panel done. We can pop that aside now. And let's move to our front section. So, this is my front outer. It would make a lot of sense to put it on the inside, to be honest. And then, not that bit, that's my base. You know what, while we're here, let's do these base pieces. So this is the base, and then these two are the sides. So they get pointier at the top, so the bag's slightly bigger at the bottom, but not a whole lot. So I'm just going to stitch these together. My patterns pretty much always have a 1/2 inch seam allowance, unless otherwise stated. I like to keep it all the same, so that if you grab one of my patterns, you just know. Very rarely do I do a different one. I would like the idea of a 3/8 inch seam allowance, but the maths from centimeters to inches hurts my brain. Not gonna lie. Alright, so we need that one for that. I'm just looking for the outer pieces. So here's my outer side, my other outer side, and my base. I have done the solid for this part, just because I can, really. Stitch, back stitch, and then chop that one off. So that's now the gusset bit done for there. And again, I'm just going to bring this around. Oh, that one might not come around as easy. They don't always like to bend on themselves. Vinyl can be a bit tricky like that. I'm going to chop this off now. I do like to chain stitch where possible, but I don't want to wreck my sewing by doing it. So we are going to open this, squish it open. If you've got a seam roller, you can totally use that right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to my 4 stitch length, and I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch each side of the seam. This is both going to be decorative as well as hold the seam flat, like so. Open it out, lay it down flat, trim, swivel, other side. Alright, so that's that bit done. I just like eliminating pieces, if you haven't kind of caught on to that yet. Right, so this is our lining and this goes here. So we're going to join these together. So back to adjoining stitch length. Stitch and back stitch. From memory, this is a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but I can double check that. You can always do a bigger seam allowance. It's much harder to do a smaller one. So this, the idea is it's the same size. So 1/4 inch was correct. I haven't made one of these in a long time. So I'm going to fold this piece down like this and then top stitch on the fabric. This is just going to keep it flat and pretty. Because I do love pretty. Like that. Now I do have to put a magnet in, but I don't want to do it yet because it's going to distort the other things I have to do. But these should be the same size. If they aren't, you can just trim them to be the same size. It won't damage anything in doing that, I promise. A super duper promise. Alright, let's grab, these are all my pocket pieces. There's 3 different types of pocket pieces in this pattern. What I do need though is, I like to just use this. So all my zippers are to be the same size except for the top closing zipper. So I'm going to take my Tory pocket template. I'm going to fold this over in half, and then this halfway line, we can just line it up like this and draw the rectangle. Now you can draw any size rectangle that suits your life. Just make sure they're all the same, because we're going to have like a uniformed moment. So the side that I've drawn on, I'm going to fold it in half and put a nick in the center. Then I'm going to fold this outer piece in half and do the same thing. Find the center. I also need the center top for later, so I may as well do that now. Like that. Right, center, center. Happy days. And then we're just going to take this pocket and line this up here. Now, seam allowance, so don't forget that, but it will be 1/4 inch because there's going to be a zipper here. So I always like to do about 1/2 inch up from the bottom. You can do whatever you like. I'm going to go to a 2.5 inch stitch length. And if this is moving, grab some longer clips and hold it in place, because I really don't want it to move and be crooked. And that's the easiest way I know how. The other way you can do it is up here at this intersection. Like that. Now I have 4 clips, which is probably an overkill. But I love this vinyl. I don't want to waste it if I don't have to. Now before I go any further, yep, there, right. Stitch, back stitch. Along we go. Now we don't do the short sides of the rectangle. I have discovered that it works out much better if you don't bother. Trim off the tails and pop them in the bin, or if you've got a thread jar. I have seen some people do thread jars, and then they stitch it all together in between some water soluble stabilizer and make some really cool artwork. Personally, I don't have time, but I do appreciate how pretty they are. Alright, vinyl scissors again, fold it in half. Again, you want to make sure that the edges are straight, so when you chop in the middle, it's going to be a straight line and not like a dodgy curvy one. Just because it'll be easier to stick down in like 5 minutes when we get there. You want to triangle out the corners, and you want to have a pretty decent triangle chunk. You don't want to have like a tiny little triangle. It will be harder to stick down and pull out of the way. I am saying this from experience, I promise. All right, 1 and 2. Again with the tape, because this is vinyl, so I can't iron it. You can make this bag out of a canvas, not even a waterproof one. You can make it out of fabric, this bag, if you want to. I'm just clearly not. So again, it's like 1 stitch length away from the actual stitches. And then if you want to, you can grab like a little bit and put it at the end here to hold the triangle back. That is an option for you. If you're struggling to get those corners to sit really, really nicely, that little bit of extra tape that I just put there, and when I say little, like it's the size of my finger, it's gonna help. So we can shove these through the hole, just so that they're easy to grab in a second. And then I'm going to peel off the backing of one side. Fold this down on that seam that we just sewed to make it fabulous. So like that, and you can see it sticks. Then we're going to do the other long side, and we'll do the short sides last. So again, we're going to fold it up like that. And then if you want to, now that we're at this side, pull this backing off and do the little triangle corner parts. Pull it out, stick it down, make sure the crease is good. Then I'm gonna fold it over the other side and then do the same thing with this little bit. Again, you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you it as an option if you're struggling to get those sides to sit out of the way. Okay? And so this is what we have, another zipper pocket. So we're going to grab another piece of tape, which is the width of the zipper pocket. Most of the zippers will actually be the same today. They were the wrong scissors. Should use red-handled ones. So I've kept this bit of tape, obviously because it's got some dodgy bits in it. So see here, I won't sell that to you, so it becomes my personal stash. I can just chop it out. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. I get at least one dodgy bit every time I get a delivery, which isn't too bad because I do get a lot. Alright, zipper pull, crack your zip. I put it in about halfway and I pinch it. I like to pinch it with these 2 fingers because this one's going to push it down when we get the other side in. Line them up evenly and push. Like so. And then again, if you want to use your double-sided tape to get your zipper in, there is nothing wrong with that plan. Hello, Knuckles. He's trying to talk to me. You can see his tail wagging. Okay, over the top, I'm going to go up to the 4 stitch length because again, I like nice top stitching. I'm going to come to just in front of the zipper. I'm going to make sure it's in the middle of my space, like that. And then I can top stitch along that edge, pivot, short edge, pivot, other long side, needle down, keep your needle down, lift up your presser foot, and then zip it so that we don't have any distortion going on. I'm going to go down this end, needle down, pivot, and then the last little bit here, back stitch, trim it off. And the other side. And then we're just going to fold this down, and I'm going to stitch all 3 sides. We're going to completely close this because we don't need to get into here. We need to close off the pocket entirely. Along the bottom. And then up the other side. Alright, we're going to stop here because I need to let my dog out. I'll be back. Alright, so now that that's done, keep a hold of this. Little trick for those that have made this pattern before, and this next pocket always looks a bit odd. What you want to do, measure your actual zipper box, right? So your zipper needs to be as big as the zipper box, like that. And then chop it off. I have the exact measurements for all of these things in the pattern. You just gotta trust me on this. Crack a zip. Put in one side and the other. Line them up, push the top down. I like to kind of squish it all together. I put my finger behind it like this and just pull down. Works every time. Okay, so we also need the center of this, so I might as well do that while it's in my hand. That will be an in a minute problem. And I need these 2 smaller zipper pockets. And my zipper ends. So these are going on here like so. That's too big. Why is it so big? I think I was supposed to cut one and then cut it in half. That's okay. We can do that now. So we just want little zipper ends. I do 1 1/4 inch squares. I can tell you this size because it's the width of your zipper tape. Zipper tape's 1 1/4 inches wide. Just for anyone that didn't know that, there's a tidbit of information for you. Occasionally I get one that's a full 1 1/2 inches wide, but very rarely. Chop them in half. Pull off this side. If you want to put on more, you totally can. I just had to pull off that first bit so that it won't stick. This is the rippable tape. I don't know why I keep cutting it. Habit? It's definitely a habit moment. I have to get out of this habit. I'm going to work on that. When I move house, that's going to be my mission to work on. So we're going to pull off this part and this part. Now that I've got some double-sided tape, I'm going to fold it in half and just kind of hover it like this, and then put the zipper tape in and stick it on the edge like that, and we just squish it down. That's what the double-sided tape is for. If you don't have it or you don't like using double-sided tape, use some clips. Wonder clips are also your friend. So there and there. And this is now the zipper pull that we have. And if you can see a movement that's happening, this will then be the same size as that. Alright. You can also make it a little bit bigger to incorporate so that the zipper tape is exactly in line with the other one. You just need to allow for this much on each end. Okay. So, now that we've got this, grab one of your zipper pocket linings. Line it up in the center. Clips, where's my clips? Over here. I can eyeball the center. If you can't, fold it in half and find the center. Okay, so I want the zipper. You know what? It's actually easier to do this the other way. Trust me on this. For those that get confused with zippers, I'm going to show you how I'm going to actually do it and show you. So we hold the zipper so that they're closing the both the same way. We also need to find the center. I don't ever clip my zipper tape. It never works out the way you hope. So I want it closing this way in here. So we're gonna fold this down like this and then clip it down. Like so. Okay, and then we can take the backing piece and put it over the top with a lining, zipper pocket lining, whatever you want to call it. 4 and 5. So now when I do this, the zippers are all going to go the same way. So I'm going to stitch from the fabric and back stitch and go back to a joining stitch length because that feels somewhat important too. And then back stitch a little bit to lock it in. And then when I flip this over, I'm only going to top stitch the seam allowance down from here, which is at the start of the zipper tab, to the other zipper tab, and I'm going to go back up to a 4 stitch length so it matches the other ones. And back stitch. I'm stopping there and I'll show you why later. Bear with me on this. Right, other side. So grab the other pocket lining. It should just line up with the other half of the fabric. Clip it however you see fit. You can also use double-sided tape here. And then we need to put it in the center. I also need to move the zipper pull so it's out of the way. But basically the sides should line up with each other like that. Clip it down. And then, again, I'm going to joining stitch length, stitch and back stitch. Stitch over here. Back stitch, back up to my decorative 4 stitch length, fold just this side back, and top stitch just where the zipper tab is. I mean, this might seem a bit fiddly, but A, it's going to teach you some skills, and B, it does turn out to be quite cute. Gotta trust me on this. Okay. Joining stitch length. Let's close up the pocket. So I'm going to do the bottom first because I like to. I find it easier. It gives kind of some stability. And then I'm going to head up towards the top edge. And I'm just going to fold everything else out of the way and stitch it. Doesn't matter if you don't get 100% to the end, just as close as you can, because I'm going to close it all up in again in a second anyway. Alright, line them up, pull them up, back stitch, chop off that. Now you can go the whole way around if that's easier for you, but I find this way easier. Alright, so now what I need to do is grab these just because it makes it easier and squish your zipper tab. Trust me on this, it gets way skinnier, way easier. Doesn't seem like much of a thing, but it's amazing, I promise. So now all we need to do is fold down the seam allowance for these side pieces. And we're just going to squish them together and then stitch to where we stopped our top stitching on both sides. There's a clip there. You're going to make sure that all of that in there is hidden. So we're just going to stitch from here to this stitching, and then that's going to close up that edge so that we can't see in there, and everything is going to look schmicko. And yes, I really did just say schmicko. Now, the way I have found that this works best is if you start from the outside and drive towards the zipper tab. Okay, so 4 stitch length. I know we're jumping all over the place with the stitch length, but such is life, I'm afraid. Alright, get up to the original stitches, back stitch, and we're done. And so that has now sealed that side of the pocket. Now, if your machine can manage it, you can 100% come from here down, but not everybody's machine likes the big jump. So that is up to you, but it is also sometimes nice to top stitch from the top edge. So you decide what's going to work best for your machine. If you can do it from the top, that's okay. And if you have to switch it over and do it from the back, that is also okay. What suits you best is what you should do. Okay? Now, these bad boys, they are well and truly dry. They go here and here, like so. Alright, and if you can start to see, this is now a full piece. So I am just going to tack it to the edge here of all the layers. I know I still have to put my magnet in. Please don't think I've forgotten. I'm just going to put it here. I'm trying to decide which side I want up. Whichever one's prettiest. Okay, just tack it on, or baste it, whatever word you prefer to use. Same with the other side. If you really want to, you can open this out. You don't have to stitch it to all layers. We just have to get it on. And then we will put our rivet in it. Now this is purely decoration. It does nothing other than look fancy, and I like fancy. So we need some rivets, and then I'm just gonna go through the outside, not any of the pockets, so make sure that they're all out of the way. And I'm just gonna rivet it on that round end. 1 and 2. Now again, this doesn't do anything other than look pretty. You can skip it, but it is a nice accent in my opinion. So from that, it's just pretty. We've got this up here. You can zip this all the way up now if you want to. Now the next thing we need to do is install our magnet. So on this piece, I'm going to install the male. There is a male and female. Male sticks out, female sticks in, for obvious reasons. And if they're not obvious, Google some anatomy. Alright, so just again, I need to find the center of everything. It's just easier this way. You can also just crease a line if that's what's easier for you. Alright, like that. And that's the line where the magnet's going to go. So I'm going to grab my gasket and a pen. You can use whichever pen. And then in between here, now you can kind of put it anywhere from there to there. The higher you put it, the more space you have in the pocket. So I'm going to kind of put it in the top third like that. But if you put it too high, it might be awkward. And if you put it too low, then your pocket's only this big. So you can put it anywhere from the middle to the top third. They are my life advice anyway. Knife, pen knife. Can't speak today. Everything's backwards. Now, lately, even though I hate these magnets now that I've got rivet magnets, I don't like normal ones. But if I am going to do normal ones, I now use my handy dandy pliers to squish them inwards. I used to do them outwards. With just my fingers, I do them outwards. But if I've got my pliers, I squish them inwards because they get really flat with these. So just another use for them. If you're trying to convince yourself why you need a pair, there's another reason. It will help squish all your magnets. Okay. Oh no, I need that. So now we're going to grab our other main panel, which I did in the contrasting color because in my head this looks really cool. Oh, and I was right. So now from here, you can just fold this back. Although I'm going to have to do it facing this way so that I can see. But okay, so I would normally just leave it sit there. If you're new to bag making, you want to make sure it's lined up, use some clips, hold it in place so it can't wiggle around like this. Just a few. Then I'm going to fold this back, find where I've got the other magnet piece, which is there. Grab the gasket, draw the lines, cut the hole, and install the other half. You'll notice I didn't put any clips up the top. That's so I can easily access where I'm about to cut a giant hole. We don't want to mess up the bag. So, in it pops, always make sure you use a gasket. Always, always, always. Alright, so again, with my pliers and the squishing, you can even kind of try and use these to help bend it over. Me and magnets really aren't friends. That's why I switched to rivet magnets. But they feel a bit wasteful here. Okay. Now what you don't probably want to do, so the next zipper goes here, so we can 100% go and put the next one in, or you can put this pocket on the inside of the bag. The choice is yours, or you can do both and add more pockets. I mean, it's not a very big bag, but if you love pockets, then by all means put one here and there. So I've folded it in half. I'm going to snip the side that I drew on, like the half. And then, along with everything else, it's going to line up like so. And if you're looking, all of these lines will then line up. So you've got like a continuation going on up the sides here. And that is how I designed the bag. Which is why it's so important that this one goes in the right way. The rest you can get away with. That one, not as much. So, we're going to find the center of this piece. Purely because we don't need this bulk on, we're trying to add the pocket, really. You want it nice and tall. You can even lay this over the top to make sure that it's up enough. There is also measurements to use a ruler in the pattern if you want to do that too. So where the fabric interjects or intersects, runs into your vinyl, add some clips so it won't move, back to adjoining stitch length. Now I could just keep adding like pockets on this bag forever. It could be like the most pocketed bag, but at some point we have to realize that people probably aren't going to use them. And the reason I've put all the pockets on the outside is so that the inside can just be like a dump and grab section, and then the outside is organizing. So that you only, like, you can keep just your wallet on the inside and then all the other stuff in the outer pockets. So during COVID, I had a mask in this one here. All right, scissors. Make sure that's straight. I always get paranoid that it's not straight on this one. It is, it's totally fine, but I like to check. Chop one side, chop the other side, and then we'll go to the other half. Again, make sure you've got a decent triangle. I promise it will help. I usually do this with smaller scissors, but Jesse, my child, has decided that they're his favorite and he keeps taking them. Alright, so again, more double-sided tape because this is vinyl. If it wasn't vinyl, we wouldn't need the tape, but it's not, so we do. Peel the backing off. Fold that down, stick it down. Peel off the backing. Peel off this backing as well. And then we're going to fold it up. This top one does get pretty close to the top zipper. That is totally normal, so don't freak out about that. And again, if this one worries you, you can skip this pocket. I'm just not going to. Be a bit late now, even if I wanted to, wouldn't it? Alright, next zipper. In she pops. 4 stitch length. And then we're going to stitch around. Needle down, and then we're going to zip this up. Continue. Pivot down. Back stitch. Snip. And trim off those tails. All of them like that. And then we're going to fold this one down and stitch all the way around this as well. On our joining stitch length. Needle down, pivot up the other side, back stitch to lock it all in, and then I'm going to take some clips, attach the magnet because it's just easier. In fact, you probably don't even need clips if you don't want to, and I'm just going to baste all the layers together so that everything's lined up. I'm just basting, I'm actually just doing 1/8 of an inch all the way around, like that. And there is our front panel. And see, all the zippers line up together. And I like that. Alright, let us build the bag now that the fancy part's done. This is like the most complicated piece. Everything else is pretty easy after this. Again, with the center of the top and the bottom. The top being for the zipper and the bottom being for our base piece. There, snip. Now this is non-directional, so I can literally just pick whatever. I'm also going to find the center of both sides of my base, like that. Then I can clip it here. And I also want to clip this open if possible, so that it'll sit flatter when we stitch it. Like so. And you can add clips in between if that makes you happy. And then we're just going to clip around the curve. Like so. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. Right, and they finish at the same height on both sides. So I'm now with my joining stitch length. I'm just going to start a little bit down, like 1/4 of an inch down, and then stitch around. And then stop about 1/4 of an inch from the top. So it's just got a little bit of kind of leeway, I guess. We can also make a little snip into the fabric here. It will help with our turning later. So it's just a little snip. Then we can attach the other side. So I've already found the top and the bottom of this one as well. Make the clips face the gusset. Again, I'm going to hold this open and out so that they sew on flat and open. This will make for a skinnier seam allowance. Like that. So they're opened and flat. Put that to there. Work my way down to the corner. Like so. Other side. Now I haven't forgotten my D-rings. I just have found a different way I like to do them, so I'm going to do it that way. Alright, gusset facing up, again with the 1/4 inch seam allowance, the 1/4 inch leeway at the top. Make sure that that seam is open and flat. Open and flat. Swivel around. And backstitch. And then we can turn that right sides out. So that's our lining done. Now let's do exactly the same to our exterior. We will just most likely be using a lot more clips for that. So I'm going to find the center here, make a clip, and here. And then with facing up, like this, we're going to do the straight part, then we can work through the curve. I've done this a million times, so I know what's going on. There. Clip down into the curve. Hold the curve like a curve if you need to. If you struggle to do curvy clips, like that. And then again, we are going to start about 1/4 inch down, work my way around. I'm also probably going to run out of bobbin thread soon because that's how my life goes. And backstitch when you get to about 1/4 inch from the end again. And then again, you'll probably want to clip it. And it just occurred to me I missed one of these sides with the clipping. It just helps it to maneuver better when we're gonna stitch all of it around. I always do this one last because it is the bulkiest and therefore the trickiest. And the bulkier it is, the more you're gonna want to put more and more clips on too. Just so you know, so that it won't move while sewing. Right. Lots and lots of clips, especially for this curve, because this curve is now quite firm with clips. And then you just want to match up both sides so that it's even. Whatever you pick, so however you do this corner, it may alter how high or low this is by like 1/4 inch. It doesn't matter how you do it, so long as it's the same on all of them, to be totally honest. A lot of people freak out about this part. Because it's not completely enclosed, so long as it's the same on all the bags, you can actually do it any way you like. Same with the seam allowance on this, actually. So here how it's thicker, because it's got a whole bunch more layers going on. But those layers in the front also give the bag stability, and that's why we don't need to have any interfacing. I mean, I suppose you could if you wanted to, but I don't really feel the need. Again, with the clipping of the vinyl and the trimming of the tails. Alright, this is what it looks like. It's looking fabulous. We're going to take this and just place it. Oh no, not yet, not yet. Zipper tape first. Ah! And I dropped something. Shocker, I know. There to there, plus some tail. There is an official measurement for this. I always get it pretty close, to be honest. I'm also going to wrap up the last of this tape. Plenty there for another whole bag, even if it has got some flaws. Alright, so we are going to crack the end of the zip, pull it down. Now I've seen lately some people like to staple it. If that's your jam, go for it 100%. It's not mine, so I'm just going to stitch it. I'm also going to run out of zipper, bobbin thread soon. Okay. Done. So we just want them both bent over at the end like this, and then you can separate them. And I know this freaks a lot of people out. I promise you'll be okay. Okay, so then from the straight edge here, we're just gonna clip this on, or you can even just baste it on if you want to. Alright, right along the edge. And then when you get to the end of the straight, we're gonna tuck this down at a right angle. And then stitch on that curvy part. Alright, tucks it down. There is method to my madness, I promise. Then we're going to grab this side and do the same thing. So once you've done one side, you just have to make sure it lines up with the other half, really. So you can just hold it in place, or you can follow the actual instructions, whatever suits you best. I'm even going to sew it from this way. Hold that in place. Stitch at like 1/8 of an inch, and then again when I get to the end of the straight, I'm going to tuck it so it goes in and down at a right angle. Like that. And now we have our zipper on. Now obviously if that looked complicated, please use clips. It will probably become a lot clearer. Now the next thing we have to do is make sure that this zipper is closing the same as all the other ones at the front. You don't want it to be backwards, it'll be weird. And then this is where I'm going to use the clips. We're just going to go, and I'm going to start with this short edge, and I'm just going to line up some clips. And then around this curve, like this. Tuck in the end of your zipper. And then again, I'll match up this corner here and that corner there. Other side. Tuck in the zipper end again. We don't want to accidentally stitch it now, do we? That would be a disaster. So then again, we're going to line up these edges. And they're the same size, so you should be good to go. And so this is what we've got. So we've got clips that go all the way around. Now I personally like to start on a straight edge. We've also only got one piece left in our top, so I'm going to pop that there because it's easy to get to the bin. I'm just going to start on a straight edge. We're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance for all of this, and we're going to keep an eye on our bobbin because I'm fairly confident it's going to run out soon. And then over. So we're going to needle down and pivot when we get to that straight edge there. This is not so much super tricky as it is fiddly. Right, just run out of bobbin. I heard it, so let me do another one. Alright, bobbin has been renewed, so I'm just going to go back a few stitches from where I ran out of thread. Stitch and back stitch slowly so it doesn't have a meltdown at me. And then I'm just stitching around the bag, and I'm going to keep maneuvering it because of the 3D object that it is. And then I'm going to get in line with the stitches that we did before. Stitch across, needle down, and then pivot up and around the curve. And then we're on the last little bit of the straight. And back stitch when we get back to the start. Trim off any and all tails that we just created. Like so. And then our zipper pocket, which apparently I closed, and that's okay. I no longer find it tricky to do that. What we are going to do though is we're going to grab some snips or scissors, and we're just going to cut, not with them, maybe these. We're just going to cut little kind of, not even triangles out of the corner, but we're just going to cut into where we change direction to ensure that it will maneuver when we turn it out, because we still have to top stitch this. Alright, so just little cuts here, because it'll help. For a small bag, this really does have a lot going on. I mean, you could do more, you could add piping. I'm going to put my hand back in and push everything out so it looks magnificent. Because so far this really does look quite magnificent. Alright, then I'm going to close up the zipper pocket because I don't need to get back in there. Stitch, back stitch, close up the zipper pocket. Might bring my snips back. And then cut off the tails at the other end. Tuck that into your bag. And then, I mean, in a perfect world, we actually want to have the bag inside out, if I'm honest, because then we can top stitch on the outside. The other option would be is if you've got a cylinder arm, you should go and use that for this next bit. But we want to turn out these corners. So where the curve is, you've got to make sure you turn it all the way out. Very important we do that. So I'm just going to roll it in my fingers till it comes out like that. And then to stop it running away, you can add some clips if you would like. So same with the other side. So I'm going to pull the zipper and then just kind of roll this edge in and out of my fingers until it comes out. See? Much better. Clip and clip. This straight edge here, you might want to add some clips to that too. It is a very cute shape, but this part is the absolute must, or you won't get your cute shape. Alright, so you got to roll out these corners. It's always these corners that give you the most grief, but that's because they're cute and they're worth it. Right, so roll, roll, roll till you've got your nice curve out, and then clip it in place so it can't run away. Last one, so you can kind of just pull on the zipper a little bit. Roll, roll, roll. And again, this is easier if we go and do it on the cylinder arm. But I do want to prove to you that it can be done. You just got to have it inside out. Alright, so nice long top stitch of 4. I'm going to move my clips so I don't knock them. I do still have hardware left. We're about to use all of it, I promise. So I'm going to start in this corner right before the curve. So here. If you leave a nice long tail, you can actually just pull it through and tie it off if you want to. And I'm going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. And you just want to pull on the zipper. Make sure that your other zippers are out of the way too. Alright, round the curve. Hold the bag up so that you can get all the way in to your corners. And then pivot and do the straight bit. And then we're going to pivot and do the next corner. And just like that, we're already halfway. And again, we're going to hold it up to get into that corner. Pivot. Now, before I go any further, let's pull this through so I can tie this side off before we get to the next one. Alright, so I'm going to hold it here, tie it into 3 knots. I like 3. I feel like 2 is not quite strong enough. 3 is the way of it. And then trim off the tails. Now I can do the last little bit. So I'm going to go over that edge And then pull the tails and do the same thing again. Pull the tail to the back and then tie it off. Now all that's left is rivets and zipper ends and stuff. So the actual sewing part of the bag is now complete. We're going to turn it back out the right way. Oh, it looks amazing. Make sure you get all your corners out properly. Like so. And then, let's grab our hardware. Take my zipper end and my zipper. So, I'm going to hold these zips together and we're going to install it. Now, you want to zip it all the way closed to make sure it's even. Doesn't matter if this end is even or not because you won't see it. We do care that this end is even, right? Which that one is. Don't feel bad if you don't get it on the first go. I have had a lot of practice. We're also going to want our electric screwdriver. I do love my electric screwdriver. And so then I'm going to fold 1 and 2, slide this onto the end. So I kind of fold it into a point, push the zipper end all the way on, and then I'm going to do it up. Now if you don't have zipper ends or you don't want to use more hardware, you can just make one out of fabric. 100%, that is an option. But I like hardware, it's fun and pretty. Right, so that is it. You want to make sure that when you run your finger on it, it's not sticking up, and then you're good. I lied, we do have to sew some more. I forgot these bits, which are my D-ring connectors. And I've recently discovered I much prefer to rivet them on at the end of the bag rather than put them on earlier, because the hardware gets in the way of the sides because they're so skinny, and who can be bothered with that? So rather than fight how skinny the bag is and adding the D-rings, I'm going to add them now, and they'll be fabulous. So, double-sided tape down the center. Fold both sides into the inside. Now we're going to see both ends of this, so we want to make them neat. Down, across. Normally I would just jump to the other side, but we're going to see all of these, so I want to have all sides looking pretty. Like so. So now all edges are pretty. I'm going to repeat that with the other side. Pivot. And back. Done. Where the join side is, put the flat part of this on. And then this is just going to rivet over that edge like that and look adorable. If I wanted to, I probably could have done it in a different color, but it's okay. So I'm just going to hold this in place. Now, if you want to, actually, grab your rivet placement and work out how far up you want to go, and then mark it on both of them so that they're going to be uniformly the same. Okay? Done. So now both the rivets will be in exactly the same spot, so it will look much more neat. Oops, I missed. That's right, I'll get it in a minute. And then, to help you even further, right, line these up, punch the hole through these, like this, and like this. This is going to help, I promise, because we're going to try and do less layers at a time. So now I've done that, we grab this, we hold it so it's even, and then that is where our hole needs to go. So you can just kind of mark it by stabbing it, really. And then mark that hole and punch that. Grab some rivets. So we're gonna go through here, and then add the back piece on, because then it's all even. Put a cap on the back and squish it down. And that way you don't have to try and do all the layers at once, and then it wouldn't be crooked. See? And then that sits right at the top like so. Same with the other end. And I mean, you could make these fancier. You could have done a curved edge or whatever. I'm genuinely not the boss, so you can do whatever makes you happy. There's the hole that I need to make. You can also mark that with a pen if you don't have a sewing awl, that's okay too. Have this all the way open because it's easier to get in there. Hole punch. And then rivet goes in here, through the bag, through the other side, making sure that your zipper is not getting caught up in any of that, because that would be bad. Alright, and then clip it or squish it down. And voila! One fabulous bag with a strap. Now I do still need to Tory squish all of this, as you can see. It'll need some slightly violent persuasion to sit nicely, but I think that comes out wonderful. I love it. And it glows in the dark, and who doesn't want a glow in the dark bag? Alright guys, well thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!